Oh, está lloviendo. Normalmente llueve mucho en este país. Siempre llueve cuando estoy de vacaciones. Frecuencia. Vamos a ver, que no sé cómo voy a empezar este vídeo. Si os soy sincero, no tengo ni idea cómo empezar este vídeo. Así que creo que esto va a ser el comienzo. Expresiones de frecuencia. Imagine I have a watch here. I don't. But imagine I have one. Frequency. Frequency. Time expressions. Hola a todos, I'm Álvaro from AVA Spanish, and today we're going to be talking about expresiones de frecuencia. We're going to be talking about how often, how frequent do you do something. Vamos a empezar. I've decided to organize them from most frequent to least frequent, so hopefully that will help you out. First one in line we have is siempre. 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 It means always. Yo siempre paseo con mi perro por las mañanas. I always walk with my dog in the mornings. Todo el tiempo. Todo el tiempo. All the time. Mi perro quiere pasear todo el tiempo. My dog wants to walk all the time. Todos los días. Todos los días. Every day. Yo me lavo los dientes todos los días. I wash my teeth every day. Casi todos los días. Casi todos los días. Almost every day. Yo leo casi todos los días. I read almost every day. Then we have muy a menudo, very often, or casi siempre, almost always. Yo estoy cansado casi siempre, o muy a menudo. I'm tired most of the time. It's just painfully true. A menudo. A menudo. Often, if we had before muy a menudo, very often, a menudo is just often. En este país llueve a menudo. In this country, it often rains. It is raining yet again now. A veces. A veces, very useful one. Sometimes, okay? A veces paseo con mi perro 2 veces al día. Sometimes I walk with my dog 2 times, twice a day. Pero normalmente, I'm linking with the next one, normalmente paseamos 3 o 4 veces al día. But normally we walk 3 or 4 times a day. Normalmente, normally. Then we also have generalmente. So, generally, generalmente. I could have also said that with the previous example. So, like, generalmente mi perro y yo paseamos 3 veces al día. Generally, my dog and I, we walk 3 times, thrice a day. One of my favorites, I don't know why I like this one so much, but like, occasionally. You know, like how in English you say occasionally. We have de vez en cuando. Although we also have the word ocasionalmente, which I should have written it in here, really. Ocasionalmente o de vez en cuando. Occasionally. And some of you might be thinking, oh, why would I have to say 4 words when I can only say 1? Well, let's count syllables. Ocasionalmente. 6 syllables, okay? In this word. And in de vez en cuando, de vez en cuando. only 5 syllables. So it's actually faster to say de vez en cuando than ocasionalmente. You choose whichever you want to use. I have to say, I do tend to use de vez en cuando more often. Más a menudo. Okay, so instead of muy a menudo, very often, I can also say más a menudo, more often. So yo uso de vez en cuando, más a menudo que ocasionalmente. I use de vez en cuando more often than occasionally. See how can we start mixing them up, yeah? This is what I want you to do. I want you to think your own structures. Grammatically correct, please, but to think your own sentences and to express yourself however you want in Spanish. Rara vez, hardly ever. I really like this one in English. I don't know why, but I find hardly ever to be one of my most favorite frequent expressions in English. In Spanish, okay, it's a bit tricky for like mainly speakers, like they don't know how to pronounce the r sound, okay? But let's try. So, rara vez. Yo rara vez, or casi nunca, okay? We can also say casi nunca, which is gonna be linked to nunca, but rara vez, hardly ever, or casi nunca, almost never. I would just say hardly ever, really. But yo rara vez voy al bar. I hardly ever go to a pub. O casi nunca voy al pub. Almost never, hardly ever, I go to the pub. Nunca. Okay? Nunca, never. Yo nunca hago los deberes los martes. I never do the homework on Tuesdays. Yo nunca hago los deberes los martes. And then we have the last one. Jamás. I would translate this as never, ever. So, Álvaro, what is the difference between nunca and jamás? Technically, they mean the same. Now, having lived in the UK for almost 10 years now, and obviously grew up in Spain, now, I would say that nunca in Spanish, okay, that never, kind of leads into a, even if it's tiny possibility of ever happening again, I would probably say nunca. So like, nunca volveré contigo. I will never come back with you. I will never return with you. Yes, the other person will be like, okay, never, fine. But it's nunca. They never said jamás. If you say jamás volveré contigo, that's like, I will ever. I said ever, it's never. I will never, ever will return with you or come back with you. Like if you say to someone that, like jamás, that is more emphasizing on the ever, like don't even dream about it. Don't even like have any hopes about it. Because I've said jamás. Jamás destroys all your hopes. If you have any hope left, it will be destroyed with jamás. Now, nunca, could be. It's a never, but is it always never 100%? No, because you've used nunca. If it was a fully 100% never again, it should be jamás. That's me being picky with the language, by the way. But like that's like socially connotations, if you want to learn as well about that. So like, it's like the ya. I need to make another video about this whole thing. Like the ya and the ahora. Like if a mom says to you, oh, the food is ready, come now, ven ahora, come now, ven ahora. Normally, kids and teenagers and people in general hear ahora and it's like, oh, now. Ahora. To be fair, frequent as well, so why not? Ahora. Now. And obviously you would have thought that if they tell you now, you would do it now, right? But for some reason, our brains, they say ahora, and you're like, yeah, in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes. But that's not now, that's in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We have ya. If my mom told me ven ya versus ven ahora, yeah, I will, give me 5 minutes. If she told me ven ya, I better like move my ass, because otherwise the next thing that is coming to my face is my mom's flip-flop, because not listening and not going now. Like both mean now, but ya is like, if you don't come now, we're gonna have issues. So it's a little bit like that for the nunca and the jamás. Nunca and jamás, they both mean never, but jamás has way more emphasis on the no, I'm telling you, never, ever, ever. I hope that made sense. Que es difícil que no se me escuche porque hablo muy alto. Wow. La osadía. La osadía. Cuyita bonita. Pero ¿por qué estás tan sucio? Si te he limpiado la cara esta mañana y ya estás sucio. Eres un cochino. Eres un cochino. Hola. Soy el Álvaro del futuro. Básicamente estaba editando el vídeo y dije, esto del nunca versus jamás tiene mucha chicha. You know what I mean? Like, it's a juicy topic, this one between jamás and nunca. So I've decided to go deeper into the investigation, let's call it, to make sure I give you the right information between nunca and jamás. And it turns out I was right, but let's get into it. I've gone through various different forums, and then I've also checked, of course, the almighty, the RAE, the Royal Academy of the Spanish Language, which are the ones that they put the rules for the Spanish language for everyone in the world. I've decided to start with the forums because why not? Like, I think that it's quite useful to see what other people or other experts, but they are like from different regions, think and recommend to people to use. Because the RAE obviously is like the almighty, like that's what we have to follow. But like obviously the RAE evolves depending on what the people are using as well. So, you know, we have to see a bit of everything. We cannot see just one side or the other. Let's like see the whole spectrum. So in one forum, someone asks the same question that we have currently, which is, ¿qué es la diferencia entre jamás y nunca? What is the difference between jamás and nunca? En relación con usos, verbos, contexto, etc. Okay, so, and we have obviously many answers, but let's like crack on. So this first one says, hey, there aren't any differences, or there isn't any difference. Nunca is derivated, it comes from Latin nunquam, product of the contraction of the expression non unquam or ne unquam, literally no alguna vez, so like no anytime. Jamás es un derivado del latín vulgar, so like jamás is a derivated from the vulgar Latin jam magis, that meant originally ya más, so like that's like already more, or now more. It's very hard to translate that literally. Jamás is used in a more emphatica, emphasize, how do you say that in English? Emphatica, excuse me, Sora, can you not move my laptop, please? I'm trying to find information. This laptop is needed for me to pay bills and your food. This working laptop. Emphatica means emphatic. pointed, forceful. We have many different meanings, but like let's go with emphatic. I'm having trouble pronouncing this word, so let's see.
Emphatic.
Emphatic. Whoa.
Emphatic.
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 Emphatic. So this person was saying that jamás is used in a more emphatic way than nunca, which is what I said before. That's what I had in my native brain, even though I don't really remember studying this information. Like in my brain, I knew that nunca is less emphatic than jamás. Jamás is way more like never, ever, ever. So like someone agrees. That doesn't mean that this is the truth though. That we just have someone that thinks like I do. So let's keep going. You can also use the two words combined, which is true. Nunca jamás, de forma enfática, of like an emphatic way. So, no volveré a ese restaurante nunca jamás. I will never return to this restaurant, never again. So like, it's true, to be fair. We do use the nunca jamás quite a lot together. Like, nunca jamás or jamás de los jamases. We have so many different expressions to like emphasize even further that we never will do something again, basically. And nunca jamás, it kind of makes sense knowing that jamás is more powerful than nunca. That's why we say nunca jamás and not jamás nunca. Jamás nunca wouldn't make any sense at all. But nunca jamás makes sense. It's like never again in your entire life existence. What are you doing? Why are you covering your eyes with the curtains? Like, hello, good morning, welcome to reality, Sora. What are you doing? What are you doing, you monkey? What are you doing, you... What do you have to say to the people? Do you have something to say? This is a bad idea to sit down with you because I'm not working and I should be working. I'm trying to work. Yes, I'm trying to work. But of course, I also want to play with you. Of course. Another person says, hi, such a good question, which to be fair, it's a good question to have. Never and never, so nunca y jamás, are two adverbs of negation, negative, and its other meaning is practically the same. The difference is that jamás is more empathetic. Oh my god, I cannot believe I've already forgotten it. Emphatic. Okay, now we're trying to speak English. Very good. So, emphatic. The difference is that jamás is more emphatic, and that's why we reserve it for situations that stronger negation or denial is needed. So you can also use them together in the adverbial phrase nunca jamás that lets us give even more emphasis than when we are only using one of these adverbs. Nunca he visitado España, I have never visited Spain, equals jamás he visitado España, I have never visited Spain. In this case, both adverbs can be used depending on the emphasis that we want to give to our sentence. In a sentence of this type is where we're talking about experiences that we haven't had yet. It's better to use nunca, as jamás is too or too much, too emphatic. Okay, so like as we always go to the main point that I was trying to give in the video, that like jamás is way more emphatic than nunca. Jamás quiero volver a verte, I never want to see you again. However, en cambio, in the case or in case of desires or wishes, jamás gives a way more stronger, or it gives more strength to the wish of not seeing you ever again, like to the other person. So again, jamás gives more emphasis to the fact that it's never, ever, ever. And someone else in a summary, it says, la principal diferencia entre nunca y jamás, so the main difference between nunca and jamás, is that jamás sounds more formal and more poetic, meanwhile nunca is more common and it's more used in the daily conversation, which is true. Además, also, jamás often uses or it's used in a more emphatic or emphatic, oh my god. This word is not, like, I need help with this word. I mean, I need help in general, you know, but like, these words is just a no to me. So also, jamás is often used in a more emphatic context or more dramatic context than nunca. So again, we have the same point. I'm sorry, I'm stealing part of your bed, but I want cuddles. Yes. Oh my baby. Oh, look at you. Oh, look at you. So, and then obviously they give more examples. That's fine. But like the whole point of this answer was, again, the same. More emphasis with jamás than with nunca. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, Latin, Latin, Latin. I mean, you have it on the screen if you want to like go through it. Okay, so el sentido de la coexistencia de nunca y jamás en español es evitar la repetición. So like the meaning of the coexistence of nunca and jamás in Spanish is to avoid the repetition of the same adverb, which is true. If you've used nunca many times or you've used nunca already once, maybe you could use jamás to don't have that repetitive word having nunca in the same sentence or like within the same text. So you can obviously use both. So for example, whilst in English it is said never say never, and in French ne dis jamais jamais, sin más opción, without any more options, in Spanish you can say it in many different ways. You can say nunca digas nunca, never say never, jamás digas jamás, never say never, jamás digas nunca, never say never, nunca digas jamás, never say never. Another example in English is Never Never Land of the story Peter Pan, that it passed to the Spanish as El País de Nunca Jamás. True. The country of nunca jamás, never again. It should be pointed out that afterwards in English they reduced the expression to Neverland, probably because of obviously the repetitive denomination that obviously Never Neverland had. And afterwards it's just, yeah, whatever. But basically the whole point is there's no difference. But, and there's always a but, jamás is more for giving more emphasis to the never than the nunca. That makes sense, I hope. Let's go to a different answer. The words jamás and nunca are adverbs that they mean in any moment or in any occasion. However, there are some subtle differences in its use. Jamás is a word more emphatic than nunca. Se utiliza para expresar, okay, so it's used to express an absolute negation, denial, and without letting any margin to doubt. For example, jamás te perdonaré, I will never forgive you. But like if you say nunca, it's not as powerful as if you say jamás te perdonaré. Like that just breaks the other person's hearts, because like, well, should do, because if you hear that, you know as a native person that jamás is jamás. So like, you know, like there's not a chance for the other person to forgive you. O jamás volveré a ese lugar, I will never return to that place. Jamás le haré daño, I will never hurt him or her. So nunca is a word, it's a more general word than jamás. It's used to express a denial, an absolute denial or an absolute negative, but it also can be used to express a relative negative or a relative denial, in which it leaves margin, like an open margin of doubt. For example, nunca he comido sushi, I have never eaten sushi. Nunca voy a volver a ver esa película, I will never see that film again. Nunca le haré daño a menos que sea necesario, I will never hurt him or her unless it's necessary. In general, jamás it's used to express a more absolute negative with more emphasis, whilst nunca it can be used to express a more absolute or relative denial or negative. Here are some examples of how these two can be used in different contexts. So, jamás te perdonaré por lo que me hiciste. I will never forgive you for what you did to me. That's an absolute emphatic negative. Jamás volveré a pisar ese lugar. I will never step a foot in this place again, or in that place again. That's another absolute emphatic negative. Jamás le haré daño a un niño. I will never hurt a kid, a child. Another absolute emphatic negative. Nunca he comido un plato de comida mexicana. I have never eaten a dish, Mexican cuisine, Mexican food. That's an absolute negative, but not emphatic. That's just an absolute negative. Nunca voy a volver a ver esa película. I will never watch that film again. An absolute negative, but without that emphasis that jamás would give. Okay, so like that leaves to like an open, maybe like a doubt of maybe yes in the future. Nunca le haré daño a menos que sea necesario. I will never hurt him or her unless it's necessary. Again, it's a relative negative because you're giving that doubt as well, unless it's necessary. Then even though you're saying nunca, it's not really nunca, is it? Because you're saying unless it's necessary. You're giving an openness, like you're giving a percentage, even if it's a small percentage of doubt of that maybe that nunca is not actually nunca. It could be like a depende, it depends. Depends on like obviously if it's necessary or not. But if you say jamás, that is absolute and emphatic of jamás, like never. Someone in a different blog with the same question, it says the same thing, that nunca and jamás mean that it's actually the same thing, but that nunca is more common, but it's because nunca is more common because it gives that openness. It's like, you know, it's not black or white. If you say jamás, you're going basically to the last extreme, to like the absolute no. And that's very hard to keep, you know, for the rest of your life, to say that you will never do something. You never know. That's the thing. So, like, but if you say jamás, you are acting like you are never going to do that. But you cannot know. That's the whole point. In the same blog, we have someone says jamás is a negation of the same meaning, like nunca, but it's more energetic than nunca. So again, it gives more emphasis than nunca. It can still be reinforced even further the meaning by using the expression nunca jamás, never again. Se usa con el significado en frases. It's used with the same meaning in affirmative sentences, antepuesta al verbo with just before the verb, or in negative sentences after the verb. Jamás le he visto, that's before the verb. I have never seen him. O no le he visto jamás. Negative, it goes after. So I have never seen him. And finally, we go to the ones that we should follow. The RAE, la Real Academia Española, the Royal Academy of the Spanish Language. Again, we are supposed to follow what they say, the rules that they set when it comes to teaching Spanish, because they are like the ones that if you do an official exam, they will correct in like basing obviously what the RAE says that is correct and incorrect. Okay, so if I ever have a question or a doubt about something on my language, at least I know I can just search in the RAE what do they say, because like they have answers for everything, because obviously people always have questions like how their language is evolving. So like I'm not saying that they are like good or bad, I'm just saying that we have this for Spanish, because for English there's not like a constitution, like a company, I don't know how to even call it, an organization that like basically focuses on the rules of the English language and everyone has to follow what they say. Like, no, you have obviously Oxford Dictionary and Cambridge Dictionary that they set rules, but it's not like the RAE, I like to call them like the almighty, because like those are like the ones that they have the last saying on what is correct and incorrect in Spanish language. Yeah? So the RAE says many things in this topic. It says a lot, okay? So like I'm just gonna read the paragraph that I was like, okay, yeah, that kind of helps with this video. So it says, el adverbio nunca constituye la contrapartida negativa de siempre. So the adverb nunca constitutes like it's basically the opposite, the negative opposite of siempre, of always. Por lo que posee valor temporal, for which it has temporal value. I like that description, okay, because it does help with this issue that we have. Nunca está donde se lo necesita. So nunca, en ningún momento, never, in any moment, he or she is where is needed. El adverbio jamás proviene de la unión de dos palabras positivas. The adverb jamás comes, or its origin has, of the union of the two positive words. In Latin, iam and magis, which is ja and mas, which makes that its original meaning, it approaches more, it's closer to the no en lo sucesivo, so not in the consecutive, o nunca de ahora en adelante, never from now on, de ahora en adelante, from now on. That's a very good expression. De hecho, en el español actual, in fact, in the current Spanish, we don't use ya más already anymore, more. In context, in affirmative context, when these two words form a syntactic segment. En el punto 48.8j se explica que las oraciones negativas que contienen este mismo valor de ya en adelante en lo sucesivo, como en no lo vimos ya por el barrio, requieren asimismo alguna manifestación de la negación. So like in the segment 48.8j, it's explained that the negative sentences that already have the same value of ya, like from now on in the consecutive, like in no lo vimos ya por el barrio, we didn't see him anymore, or from that point onwards in the neighborhood. I'm trying to translate as I go, don't judge me. Requieren, I need a few seconds to think. Requieren asimismo alguna manifestación de la negación. They require as well some kind of manifestation of the negative, of the denial. And the main part that the RAE says, that this is what I wanted to come to, like all of this, I'm sorry for like this brutal amount of information, but you know, these things, I find them really interesting. So if any of you find them as well interesting, then there you go, you're learning. And if you don't find them interesting, I'm sorry. At least you have the dog to look at, you know, it's like you can just ignore my words and just look at how cute my lovely, lovely dragon is, because he's very cute. Yes, and he knows, what is it? Anyway, so the point that the RAE finishes this paragraph with: jamás tiene un sentido más enfático que nunca en el español de hoy. Din, 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 din. We have our answer from the Almighty. Jamás has a more emphatic meaning than nunca in today's Spanish. So, that was the whole point that I wanted to basically give you. So like, as long as the RAE has confirmed it, then I can openly say in my videos that yes, jamás has more power than nunca. Now I have to edit all of this mess, add it to the video that I already have it done, and finally upload the video. So back to the past. Do you want breakfast, by the way? By any chance, do you want breakfast? Because I finished recording this now, so we can actually eat something, because my stomach is... Having seen all of these time expressions, I want to go into the next part of the exercise now, which of course, as usual, you should know by now, un ejercicio. Using the time expressions that we've learned, let's now go into the exercise. Answer the following questions. So basically, using the time expressions that we've seen in the first part of the video and whichever other you might know, let's answer these questions out loud wherever you are, or if you want, let me know in the comments as well, how would you reply to these questions. I've given you an example answer for like all of the questions, and I hope that helps to give you some ideas on what to say, but do try. Come on, for fun. Número 1. ¿Qué te gusta hacer todos los días? ¿Qué te gusta hacer todos los días? Translated into, what do you like to do every day? Mi respuesta, my answer, todos los días me gusta pasear con mi perro. Todos los días me gusta pasear con mi perro. So every day, all the days, we say, every day I like to walk with my dog. ¿Y a ti qué te gusta hacer todos los días? En los comentarios, in the comments. Número 2. ¿Qué sueles hacer en vacaciones? ¿Qué sueles hacer en vacaciones? What do you usually do on holidays? What do you usually do on holidays? ¿Qué sueles hacer en vacaciones? Mi respuesta, en mis vacaciones suelo pasear con mi perro más a menudo. 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 On my holidays, I usually walk with my dog more often. ¿Y tú? ¿Qué sueles hacer en tus vacaciones? What do you usually do on your holidays? Comentario. And the last question, la última pregunta. ¿Con qué frecuencia vas al cine? ¿Con qué frecuencia vas al cine? A bit faster. ¿Con qué frecuencia vas al cine? ¿Con qué frecuencia vas al cine? ¿Con qué frecuencia vas al cine? Yeah? With, I'm going to literally translate this. With how much or what frequency you go to the cinema. So, how often, all of that, how often do you go to the cinema? Mi respuesta, my answer, nunca voy al cine porque mi perro no me deja salir de casa. Generalmente, solo me suele dejar salir sin él si voy a trabajar o a comprar su comida. Pero él nunca me deja salir de casa sin él. Ayuda, por favor. In English, I never go to the cinema because my dog doesn't let me leave the house. Generally, he only lets me go out without him if I go to work or to buy his food. Help, please. Así que, ¿y tú, and you, con qué frecuencia vas al cine? Déjamelo saber en los comentarios. Let me know in the comments. Y ya está. Hoy ha sido un vídeo rapidito y contundente, ¿verdad? Un poco de español en medio del inglés para los que estáis a niveles más avanzados. ¿Qué os parece? ¿Os gusta que os hable en español? Lentamente, ¿vale? Pero puedo empezar a incorporar español en los vídeos de manera lenta para que los estudiantes más avanzados practiquéis más. ¿Qué os parece? También déjamelo saber en los comentarios qué te parece. A lo mejor vienes tú y dices, pues mira Álvaro, no gracias, no hables en español porque no te entiendo. ¿Tú me estás entendiendo? Tú, te estoy hablando a ti. O sea, aquí no hay nadie más. Está mi perro, pero mi perro, pues ya ves tú, ¿sabes? Pero tú, ¿me entiendes o no? La gramática en inglés. La estupidez en español. Obviously, I want you to understand the grammar. That's why English. And then the stupidity in Spanish. So only a few will understand my stupid moments. I think that's a deal. Trato, deal. Anyway, let me know in the comments all of the things I've asked you to already. Let me know in the comments. And also if you know any other expresión de frecuencia that we haven't seen in this video that, why not? Let's share other time expressions for other students to learn, other people reading the comments to learn. Why not? Y ahora me voy. And now I leave, I go. See, I had issues finding out how to start this video. And I'm also finding issues to know how to finish this video. But as long as you've understood and learned expresiones de frecuencia, I'm happy. As long as you're learning, the stupidity in between is just for fun. ¿Sí? ¿Queda claro? Is it clear? Bueno, que me voy. Que tengo que comer. Tengo hambre, ¿vale? Tengo que comer, así que me voy. Adiós. Álvaro, cállate ya. Cállate ya, Álvaro. Ya. Cállate ya. Shut up now. But like not now in 5 minutes. Now, like now. See, like I would have had the flip-flop already in my face because obviously I keep talking. Imagine my mom telling me, cállate ya. Shut up already. Shut up now. And I'm still talking. Obviously, she's gonna flip-flop in my face. Obviously, I would if I could as well. Can I? Can I flip-flop my face every time I need to shut up and I don't? Bueno, que ya está. Yo creo que ya hemos visto suficiente. I think that we already have seen enough. Entonces voy a dejar el vídeo aquí. Vosotros en los comentarios me ponéis lo que queráis. Como si es una tontería. Me da igual. Es por leeros. Por ver qué pensáis de la vida. ¿Qué pensáis de la vida? Venga, que sí. Que chao. Que tengo cosas que hacer, ¿vale? Nos vemos en el próximo vídeo. Adiós, muy buenas.